All right, how we doing? Sam here with you. It's Monday. It's Monday the 14th of January here, and I'm going to pick up on Bitcoin here where we left off from Friday. One exception, I'm switched over to Bitstamp here from Bitfinex. People were asking for a look at this on something other than Bitfinex, so here you go. Now, we're going to just focus here on this section here, right? So from this, that's the December 18th low in this section here. We're trying to deal with this swing low, swing high. We have a correction of some sort here, and where are we in that series of swing relationships? So it's kind of interesting. Now, right, so to some degree, we're trying to get a handle on, and we won't know for some time here as to whether or not. Let me see to get this here. So is this a 1 and potentially a 2? Could be here, could be in 2, and we're going up for a 3, or do we have, you see it here in yellow, is this 5 wave up an A? We're in the process, so it would actually look like this. So if this is the A wave here going in, we're putting in the A, B, C of the B in yellow going up for the C. Right, so that would be the alternate, and this is going to be very difficult to know which one we have until we get beyond, out of the range that we're currently in. We've got to see whether or not we've got enough legs here to support the idea that we potentially have this correction in, and we'd go to an external, right? So we would break this high and give us the potential here. Now, still could be a C, but that would at least, it would get us enough distance from this low. We could start to lean into this low as a significant pivot. Well, that all remains to be seen. So let's just deal with what we can see, what we can acknowledge here. Now, I have a set of median lines on here, so you can see from swing low, swing high. Here's our golden zone. Now, this happened over the weekend. So this little action's over the weekend. This move here, I think that was on Friday. So you can see here we had the very slight break of the 6.5. It looked at that point as though the move down here, like this may have been just a move to grab the median line. So you can see here we get a corner pocket, right? Right? You've seen dozens and dozens of these. So you know here we have this 70. Pardon me. If this pivot holds, we have an 80% probability of making that pivot. This was at the 78.6 here, so. We didn't make target though, so let me just bring that up so you can see it. So this swing low here, we come right to the 786. We get the move down, so we get the swing. But so it's a little bit, you're getting mixed messages here. So we hold the 618, we break it by a tick here. Now that would imply weakness. But note here, so even still, we go to the 786 here, so we've broken this golden zone. So this range of golden zones right here now is being, right, this is our battleground here. So we're getting slight breaks on either side. So the algos are bouncing back and forth, and nobody's in control here. So we have the break on this side, the break on this side. So we have a bit of a fib fight that leaves us in between. So you have to look at this now and say, well, where's the next? Where do we know we can anticipate some algo participation? At this point now with the break here, the next one we're looking for is the sell side. So note here, of course, that this one, while we get the corner pocket, right, our 80% to the median line is realized. We do not make the algo target right now. Now we're looking at that algo target through the lens of an algo that would have been selling here, but knowing that there's likely the reversal here. It's kind of giving us mixed messages here. So the fact that we have two things to suggest strength. One is we don't make the median line. So the return here, since we don't go far enough to tag it again, this is suggesting perhaps there's strength. Now we've got to get through a couple of things. So this pivot, we've got to get through the parallel here. Of course, there's point of control. We've got to get through this, and then we've got to make some progress, get through that 6.5 again, and here's potentially a target. But note, right, we've broken here. So the next one that we can tee up that will be, let's get this off here since we've shown that's a break, and then this is a break. So where can we get a clean algo play? Well, the only one here that's within the context of what we're looking at is the next sell here. So this zone here will be in play, right? Note what's right in the middle of it, right? Point of control, at least relative to the visible range, which is I have this set. So this move here, we can't ignore this, right? That's a very real possibility that we're going to come up here, hit that zone. We know algorithms will kick in, we'll start selling there, as is always the case. Doesn't mean we can't get through, but we know we're going to hit some selling pressure there. So what would that do to the count? Excuse me. Well, we got a couple of challenges here, and this is typical Bitcoin. So this move down here. So let's get this off of here. All right, and I guess we can move that off just to clear up the chart. So let's use this here. So this move here from the proposed 4 down to this 5, very, very hard to get a 5 out of that. But it's not too terribly different than this move here, right? We don't, maybe you could squeeze out a little 3, 4, but you don't get a clean 5, just as you didn't over here, right? You see that little, right? This little mess we had over here that has always been a little bit of a hesitation here because we can't finish this cleanly. So best estimate here would be we have 5 down. We've gone through this 3 wave. So supporting the idea here that we have an A that's gone in, B, so we get the 3 wave B here, right? And then we get the corner pocket, which goes right to its target. Where are we, right? So the potential here is, there is the potential here that we've finished, right? And this move away from the median line is a sign of strength. It's kind of interesting. You look at that and you go, huh, well, why do we stop there? Right? Well, the only thing that I can see that's there is that we bang directly into that pivot. Right now, that's prior support. More likely, you'd be looking for that for resistance, but for whatever reason, well, we get some buy. You see the little low volume node here. Right? So the market does not accept that price and moves off of it quickly. But we're beyond the algo play here, so we don't have a buy side algo working with us here. The next algo we can identify where they're likely to kick in is right here at this 50 to the 618 golden zone. But that changes our count. That actually is, it's a bit problematic. So if this is AB and if this is in here, trading view. If this is in as the C of the B, right? If that's in, so A, B, and then we're kicking up here. It's either this is so. All right, we still can't be definitive as to what we have here. Is it a B or is it a 2? Right? If we're going to start to move here, well, if this is off, we're going to need to see an impulse. Well, pardon me. We're going to see a motive wave coming off of this. Could have a diagonal, but we need a sign of strength here. We need a good solid 5. Impulse would be all the better. So here's the problem, right? So if we come down here for bulls, I should say it that way, right? If we complete this 5, right, and we come up here and we bounce here and we start to head down, what is that going to look like? Right, that's going to look more like we've got something like that setting up. So get off of me. All right, so that's the downside here. If this goes 1, 2, if this is this 5 wave here and it's an ugly 5, I'll give you that, right? So much like this was an ugly 5. Right, I got a nice 3 into a B here into a corner pocket. So this, all right, here's the best trade we've seen. So this move down here, we can understand this. Okay, what happens here? I get a corner pocket. I get a drive right to the median line. I get a bounce. But then I get a failure swing. Ideally, this would have finished more cleanly. So you got to look at it and say, okay, is there an alternate here that would allow me to finish? I just don't see one. I don't see any other way because of this. Now, see, even if we go down to the 15-minute, there's just not a clean way to finish this. So likely some sort of a triangle goes in here. It's mighty ugly, but it might, if I had to think, right? So some sort of ugly diagonal, but how do we finish down here? Right. Is it much like this? Do we have this? Do you see that? That's this little failed move down here that didn't give us a clean 5. Is that what this is? It looks almost identical, right? Almost identical. Is this little move here, is that a failure swing to complete this in 5? Exactly what happened here. You can't get 5 out of that. Even if if you go beyond the 15, you're force fitting something. There is not a clean 5, much like there's not a clean 5 over here. So what to do about it? Well, let's assume that if nothing else, I've got a pivot here. All right, what does that tell me? Well, the symmetry would suggest we've got 5, right? Because I can get a 1, 2, and I can get the subdivision from within that 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Here's clear triangle down for the 5. Now again, same thing here, right? How you going to dig 5 out of that? You can't. Right, but we can at least kind of identify the structure here. This looks like a completed impulse into this sloppy, sideways, choppy, a lot of wicks, just what you'd anticipate in a kind of an ugly triangle. And then with the drive down, doesn't finish cleanly. So where do we look like we are here, even down here on this 15-minute? Well, you could probably make a case that you've got, right? So this is, it's a judgment call. Is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a 1? Right? It's not unreasonable here. So if we pull from the pivot here, well, so here golden zone, but then we failure swing. So you got to look and think, is there something else I could be looking at here? Well, if it's 1, 2, if this is ABC, well, right, we lose the algo on the buy side, but we get from an Elliott perspective, we have a reasonable candidate here for a 1 and a 2, right? It looks like that. Well, let's get this down here. 3 going in, 4 could be going in, 5 still to come. Now let's get up a degree so it makes sense. All right, so yeah, maybe. So I get a little, ugly, but I get some sort of you can make a case for a diagonal into a 1 wave, ABC into a 2. Up we go for the 3. Looks like the 4 is going in now, though, it's tough to get any subdivision out of that. So I've just got a big pump bar. So what can we do? Well, we can just standard ops. If that 3 is in, we don't know that it is. Well, look where the 4 potentially sets us up here, right? Here's the 38 right at the point of control, right? You can see why. Right? It's all this chop we have here. So here's where we have the most trading volume. So can I get a little ABC? Well, if that kicks, if we get that, and we get, let's just for the sake of trying to put a road map together, assume we get that. Well, what would that do for us if we pull back out in terms of where we are in the count? Well, if we get a clean 5 here, so if we've got 5 down, I would suggest odds are more likely that what we've got here is a completed 5. So if I've got the start of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I'm getting some sort of a motive wave here to take us up into this zone. Well, it wouldn't support the idea that we have an A B going in. Right? It looks more like, if anything, we'd have an A, expect a B, then look for a C. So just for the sake of discussion, if this is coming down, and we do finish here, and the idea that the C of the B is in, well, we need to see this motive wave realized, right? So we need to see that finish here as a candidate for a potential 1 wave. Otherwise, we just got an ABC. So then you're thinking, oh, okay, well, if this is not done and this is 5 down, then we get an ABC. Well, of course, we can pull from that corner and say, well, where could that go? Well, it could easily go here again, just like this went to the 786. So you could still have 1, 2 heading back down. Can't eliminate it. Now, how do we start to look better? Well, if we get a 1, 2, and a good-looking 3, and then we finish that, we come down, we get the 4, and we get the 5. Now we get some distance from this, so you can start to lean into the idea that this B or 2 is in. Meaning, right, so we come back to, well, where are we? Is this a B or a 2? Well, again, no way to know. But this will be encouraging for bulls if we're coming off of this low, because then if I go back to a 30-minute, then you can lean more into the idea that this is a significant low. We're now making distance from this low, despite the fact that we broke the algo pivot. Of course, you'll have another set of median lines here. So with this off now, right, so we know this is going to be an important area here. So with that off, let's bring it down this way. So we know we're going to have this likely in play as well. Okay, so corner pocket, right? It's beyond the 6.5, so it can't be a golden, but we have the corner, right? That's all we need is the corner. Now, caveat, always, if this pivot holds, 80% probability of making that, right? If it holds, right? But we got to get through this. This entire thing has to play itself out, and we've got to get through the idea that we're just going up here and then we're going to head back down to finish that, right? So this will be critical area, right? First we got to get there. Then when we get there, we need to get through that with a kick, with some volume, with good size move, and something other than one of these just wick, pump moves where it's just straight down and does it in, in minutes. We need a sustained move here, right? So we can see, okay, buyers are coming in, right? We're getting a good series of higher highs, higher lows. Right now, there's just not enough there. So because we don't get a clean pivot down here, much like we didn't get a clean pivot here, it makes it a little tougher to lean into an aggressive buy here. Not to mention the fact we broke the algo. So we don't have a buy-side algo that we can get behind here. The next algo we're going to run into is right here, right? And that's a short sell. So where does that leave you? Well, if you're, again, as I've last couple of videos, if you're not in the market, let's get that right on that pivot. If you're not in the market, why? Well, why would you chase something here? Now, if you're already long and you're sitting here looking, well, all right, so maybe some encouraging signs here. You'd like to have seen that finish more cleanly. I don't think we get even. I think we're in between the 618. Well, that's not bad, actually. All right, so here's the 100. So that's a push to get to the 100. Didn't quite get there. So putting that all back together, you can see. All right, so here's the break. Are we trying to get the 100? It's hard to call it, right? But we know that from that, so this algo is out, right? So they exit here. So the next thing happening is there's going to be a series of algos. So I know that's getting hard to see. So let's get this one off, and let's get this one off again. All right, so we got two of them that will be in play. We got to get through all the way, right? So there's this one, right? We got to get through this series. So here's the bigger 65 from the dominant, right? We got to get through this one here, right? That would be a good sign. Now we're on our way towards the median line. We got to get through this because first we're going to hit the 50. Now that's pretty close to, because there'll be a series of them here. So if we pull from that pivot, right, so we got overlapping zones. So really, if I draw them up, this will do it here. So this is the 65 on that side, and here's the first 50. Okay, so that's this here, right here in red. This is the 50 from this pull. Right, so we have the first 50, we have the second 50, here's the golden second, right? So this pivot here, so this level here is 39, well, let's call it 4,000, right? We got to get through 4,000 with some conviction. Now note here, as I go back to visible range, that's the point of control sitting right there. So as we come up to this, again, I know it's hard to see. If I pull some of this off, this is the range we got to get through. So first step, so can we just get a clean motive wave coming out of this, right? Knowing that there's going to be all this resistance here, and note here all the low volume. So if you just take this and pull it over to the side, you can see what we're going to run into. So we do not have market acceptance here, and you can see, right? We've looked at this a couple of times. It all seems to come back to this pivot here. We're all with a few wicks, resistance, support, right? We're going to come up and test that. We got to get through that with conviction. So far, this is, right, tell you the truth, I would have rather seen it go deeper and finish with a clean 5. Right? So then we can get a better handle on how significant that pivot is. Right now, yeah, we got a little pump wick, but it's nothing more than that. We've seen plenty of these throughout this entire series, throughout this entire range. Plenty of these pump bars, pump down, pump up, pump down, another pump down. Is this the pump up? It's not sustained trend-like smooth behavior. So I would be cautious about chasing the long here just yet, right? So if nothing else, let the first 5 complete, right? We've been over this many times, right? Let's let that 5 complete, and then, right? So we got a little structure here. We'd have a buy zone here for potential 2. We'd have a potential algo play in, so at least we can get behind an algo there. So if we grab that and we go up here and you go, oh, okay, well I can buy. So I'd have a potential golden zone here to go 1, 2, push for the 3. Maybe we get the, right, so the negative 100 be close to the 1618. Maybe we can get a 1, 2, 3, and then we need, right, we'll know where we are. What happens here? Do we get a 4, 5? Right, that's how we get some confidence that we're coming off of this low. We get a series of this. So this low, followed by this low, followed by this series here. Now we get some confidence, not so much in this low, but in this low. 1, 2, A, B. We're not going to know until we get up here, right? Is this 1, 2, where we're going to need more? So if this is 1, 2, and we're going up here, all right, you can't eliminate that fact. Sure could be ABC. Considering how far we've come, right, what we fell from, no, right, your first assumption almost has to be that it's corrective. Right, so let's go to a 1 hour and look at that. So where'd we fall from, right? So we're getting excited about possibly coming out of the hole here and getting a clean 5. Right, so maybe we do something along these lines here. All right, so here, if this is going to go 1, 2, we got a lot of work to do. So of course, no, it didn't matter. All of these are going to be in play. All right, look how far we've got to go. All right, we're just getting started. So given that, your first assumption almost has to be ABC, right? Which would just be putting us at the 38 here before we head down again. All right, so, right, just if you start to look in the context, right, then this would be way down here. What's that? 2,300. And that's me pulling from just the pivot before we went down, right? It's hard to know which pivot they're going to use. Could certainly be that one. If this is that's the last push. If this is a 1, 2, or finishing the A, B, C, D, E, and then we start down, well, we got to get through that pivot as well. What does that put us at? 5,400. But the number we want to watch for is, what does that put us down here? 2,200. So again, can't get overly bullish just yet, even though, right? I mean, it's better than heading down that far, but right, it's just not enough to really lean into for the bulls here, unless you're doing very short-term swing trading, right? That's certainly in play. So if you're down here on the 15-minute or the 5-minute and you're scalping out swings, well, that's a battleground. You can choose to go to battle in that time frame if you'd like. It's there, right? There's enough vol to make a little bit of money down there. Right, if you know what you're doing, you're trading with leverage, you got stops on things, you've been there, you know how to trade that range. If you know how to do that, there's opportunity down there. But if you want to, you don't want to be battling it out all day down there, right? I'd let this reveal itself a bit more as we get some clue, right? Right now we're just trying to get a 5 here, so we can at least have the possibility that we get a C wave, right? Then do we get a 3, 4, and 5, right? Do we get this? Right? That is what remains to be seen. Do we get the bigger 3, 4, 5? Right? Not that we're going to make it off of this pivot off of this 5, right? So this could potentially be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that maybe gets us over here. So we're trying to do this. We're trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get up there. And now I'm just free drawing here, but something along those lines. Right, we're just in maybe the 1 of the 1. If this is going to turn out to be a significant pivot, and this is the 1, 2, too soon to assume that. Right, safer thing to assume is that we're just doing an ABC. Right, we'd love to see, of course, right. I'd love to see that validate here and get up and get a 3, 4. Right, so this would just be the 3, right? The C, right? We don't know, right? So we break that, it starts to look better. But if this is 1, 2, 3, you still can't eliminate the C until you get the 4 and the 5. And even then, right? See, even then, you'd be up here at the 786, right? There's just so far to go before we can say trend change. Can't go there yet. We got a long way to go before we can say trend change, at least in the longer term. Right, now we can, when I'm on a 60-minute here, yeah, you can have an intermediate trend change, but the longer term trend change does not change until we can get far enough to eliminate the possibility that we have a C here. And the symmetry is so far gone that you wouldn't be trying to connect this C to this AB. You'd be locked in on the idea that we've gone 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5 are on the way. All right, so long way to go before we get there. But better to be up today than down. All right, again, assuming you're a bull. All right, guys, that's pretty much as much meat as I can pull out of that. I tell you, there's no reason to be chasing anything just yet until we get more clarity. Just trade carefully. All right, guys, that'll be a wrap for Bitcoin here. We've got a couple other alts. I'll be back today. So talk to you shortly.